they've got it figured out at Providence on what it takes to win state championship, without a doubt.
Absolutely. Chad Gilbert, my guest on
Okay. All right, good.
That's right.
There we go.
Thank you to the person that let us know. But
Thanks,
now you can hear us.
Shout out.
Yeah, so it was everything lines and lines and lines, and the kids had to wait for everything.
The face paint is always the longest line because it takes the longest time.
Face paint was wild. Face paint is kids love it. They shocking how many teenagers were getting their face painted.
Oh, they probably came just for that. I would think it's pretty cool. They have, what, 2 people doing it?
No, they had like 6 people doing face painting.
Well, that's better.
The line was ridiculous. We waited till it got down a little bit, and it was okay. Still probably about like a 20-minute wait. And they were great. They were great face painters. No, if you are 15 years old, you're not getting your face painted in a line with 3-year-olds. Like, at that point, just go pay somebody to do makeup for you. You're too old. This is for kids. This isn't for you. It was wild, right?
So it's kind of like the kids who are too old trick-or-treating, essentially. They're taking up for the little ones.
I don't really care so much about the kids trick-or-treating because that they can do it on their own time. It's not like there's this long line at the door to get the candy, in which case if there was, then yeah, I'd probably say, hey, old people, get out of here. You're too old. This is for kids. Face painting especially. But it was good. They kind of have you off to the side. I feel like they could space it out better if they wanted to. And then also, they could have probably had more bouncies, your Churchill Downs.
Yeah, they have probably like 4.
I think it was 5.
Yeah.
And again, if the kid wanted to go do the bouncy, they loved it. They had a blast, but it was like, all right, we're going to wait 10 minutes so you can ride down this thing, go down this huge inflatable slide for 10 seconds. Just the math wasn't the best. But the kid had fun, so that's all that matters.
Yeah. They there's also I believe the last couple of years we went, there would be like a big kids bouncy and a little kids bouncy, and when little kid sneaks away into big kids bouncy, you're just asking for a little TROUBLE.
Oh yeah,
it'd be a little crazy in there. But
and I guess I saw Churchill Charlie.
You found him?
Yeah,
he's alive. Did you break him out of jail?
After calling out, basically putting Churchill Downs on the spot, I think they released him from the dungeon just for this once. Basically, all right, people are talking about Churchill Charlie. We haven't let him out in a very long time. I think people need to see him. But yeah, had Lucy get a picture with him, although I don't remember who took that picture because I don't have it on my phone. But it was great. Yeah, no, that was nice.
I was disappointed that the big stakes race they had yesterday, the Matt Winn, had 9 entries, and then it got down to 4 horses.
Mm-hmm.
They're all Derby horses. And I love Final Gambit, but Final Gambit can't win a race that's only got 4 horses in the field. It's a closer. It needs East Avenue just sat on the lead uncontested and just wired the whole field. So it was a little frustrating watching that race. I didn't even bet it because when I saw it get down to 4 horses in the field. I was very frustrated with horse racing this weekend because we were chatting. I was sending over tip sheets your way, and I woke up early, was listening to our friend Travis Stone. He was talking about all the stakes races, the late pick 5, and was trying to get a late pick 5 ticket together. But it turns out you couldn't even play a late pick 5 because they canceled 2 races. And whenever you informed me, TJ, that they canceled the races, I said, what do you mean? Like what? Cancel?
Yeah, Roush texted me a lock of the day, and I was like, all right, cool. And I texted him back a little bit later, and I said, they canceled.
Yeah, what, huh? It's not in my vocabulary. So that is one thing I will say about Churchill Downs. That's a nice thing I'll give them credit for. Churchill Downs ain't canceling races on Derby Day. Saratoga, grow up. Just grow up. You're going to cancel races, move them to Sunday. And the worst part, TJ, it's not like they just took them off the card. You couldn't play any pick 3s. You couldn't do doubles for a lot of those races. They took 2 races out of the late pick 5. How? What? And it's one of those things that I came ready to fire away, and it just I felt like Charlie Brown getting the ball taken from me. And I was unlike many others, but if you looked elsewhere, the betting handles at Gulfstream and Churchill Downs were up $4 million from what they typically are on just a regular Saturday. So a lot of people just took their money elsewhere. Big suck it to Belmont for not racing those races on the turf course. That was a bummer. I was very bummed out. They ended up racing yesterday, TJ, and of course the 2 of the winners, especially one of the deterministic horse That was my top choice. But I was so agitated by the day before, and I was such a big loser that I wasn't willing to go spend again. It was kind of cool, though, when that horse won. We didn't mention it on here, but and now I hate that. Christophe Clement. He, and I don't know if it's Clement. It's Christophe, so I think it's Clement. He passed away, I want to say 2 weeks ago, after a 3 or 4 year battle with cancer. And yesterday, his son took over the stable. Yesterday, in that race with Deterministic, his son gets his first Grade 1 win, and then afterwards, he gets interviewed by his wife, who is the Fox reporter. So it was just a pretty cool moment to have that, like, get the big win, and then husband go talk to wife on the sideline about this huge win. So I thought that was a nice, heartwarming moment from the weekend that otherwise really agitated me watching the races at Belmont, because I just kept picking losers. And Duke, my man Duke, kind of got his heart ripped out because we did a jackpot, TJ, with the Belmont race. He pulled out journalism, and when he learned that he didn't get to win money because he came in second, he was very, very disappointed.
That's life.
So, but I won money last time I came in second. I'm like, well, we didn't bet it that way this time, buddy. You don't always win in horse racing. So he had to learn the hard way.
Well, you never really, we write down, at least I do, I write down the things that I want to get to on the show, and maybe sometimes it's like, we know we're starting with this one. We know we start with, hey, how you doing? Mm-hmm. Doing well. How was your weekend? Pretty good. And we'll get into some of the weekend talk. We're not really done or finished, I should say, with the weekend talk, but we are talking horse racing, so may as well. We knew we were going to get into the Belmont talk. Here's how it sounded on Saturday, a classic in the 157th Belmont Stakes.
Hill Road is trying to match strides with him. Heart of Honor has dropped out. 3/4 in 1:12.1. Journalism makes a decisive move with 1/4 mile to go, and he takes command of the Belmont Stakes. Sovereignty angles out to try and run him down. It's a rematch of the Kentucky Derby as they come to the 8th bull, and here comes Sovereignty. Sovereignty goes right by journalism once again, leaving absolutely no doubt who the best 3-year-old in the world is. Sovereignty and Junior Alvarado in the Belmont Stakes. Journalism was second. Baeza finished third.
There you go. So those two duel it out again. Not so much a contest, or at least not, it didn't come down to a nose, I should say. Sovereignty reigns supreme, gets 2 out of 3, which, Roush, we've been alive for many 2 out of 3s. It's not the Triple Crown. We've seen a lot of Derby and Preakness winners, but not as many Derby Belmont winners. Sovereignty wins it, looked like the best horse. And on the one hand, I feel like I'm right, and on the one hand, I feel like I'm wrong, Roush. Because I did say journalism hasn't had a good ride in these Triple Crown races. He's due for a good ride. He's the best horse, and if he gets a good ride, the best horse is going to win. He did get a good ride. I don't think there's anything wrong with that trip. Maybe the people that are smarter about horse racing than me could say, well, technically, you got bumped here. He likes to be in this spot, and he was out on this spot. Maybe it wasn't the most perfect ride, but comparatively to the Derby and the Preakness, that was a clean trip from journalism. Mm-hmm. However, Roush, I think that, again, they took him too early. They went too quick. They could have let him, it's a long final stretch there. They could have just let him wait to see Sovereignty try to pass him and then go. But instead, he made his move first. He did kind of he had a little trip out of the gate. I know that.
Yeah, that was bad. He took 3 bad steps. So,
but it seemed to recover fine. And again, you never know. That could impact the race later on with the energy and where your mind's at. But I still felt like they went a little early on journalism. Probably doesn't matter. He did get a good ride, or for the most part, besides that little trip. Where I was wrong is maybe Sovereignty really is just the better horse. Where we don't know for sure, though, is a huge benefit getting the break and skipping the Preakness.
No, yeah,
that was the fresher horse. There's no doubt about that.
And it was abundantly clear.
But maybe it truly is just the better horse. It just cruised right by him, and journalism had nothing left in the tank for him.
Yeah, but I think that's a lot of just the time off. And Bill Mott said afterwards, we got a lot of criticism if we didn't win. But he looked like the fresher horse. It looked like the smarter move. Sovereignty also.
That's another big debate. Was it the smarter move?
To not race? Yeah. He clearly made the right decision. I don't think he got.
I don't think that is clear.
How is it
clear as mud?
What are you talking about? Was it not the right decision? Like you're saying that like he won that race without even whipping him.
Oh, yeah. Dominated the race. No doubt about it.
Yeah. But you're saying should they have just done the Preakness too? Could have won that.
Exactly. Yes, in terms of if our goal is to win the Belmont, they made the right decision in winning the Belmont. They won the Belmont. But did they miss a chance for this horse to be considered one of the greatest of all time, to have an extra little logo and emblem next to its name for the rest of horse racing history? Did they miss an opportunity? Because they say, Roush, the Preakness is the easiest to win. Now, does that make the Belmont harder? Absolutely. You're not as fresh going into it. This horse looked the freshest. Again, if the goal was, let's win the Belmont, which it was, they accomplished said goal. But did they miss a chance in history with this horse? I think that they could race journalism in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and probably beat that horse again. Sovereignty just looks like a faster horse than journalism. I was wrong about that. I thought journalism was the better horse, just hadn't had a clean trip. I just think Sovereignty's a better horse now.
Yeah.
Was fresher, I know.
The biggest reason that would, like, the most encouraging sign for Sovereignty throughout the rest of his racing career was that he didn't need a hot pace to close. That if you watched and when Ellis Starr talked about it, and we all kind of were under the assumption that they would really hold Sovereignty back to the pack, and he'd have to make this late move. Sovereignty was hanging around with journalism and co, and it's sort of middle of the pack the whole way around. Like he wasn't. It wasn't the usual.
Journalism.
Sovereignty was kind of in the middle of the pack, like the whole way around. Like he was just right there, and then when it was time to turn on the jets, he just blew by everyone. So it's one of those, TJ, where I'm probably going to, like, these horses. I don't know if they'll do Jim Dandy and the Travers at Saratoga. You're certainly going to see him in the Travers because that race just means too much to too many people to skip that one, especially Sovereignty and his connections. Bill Mott's more of a Naira guy anyway. So, but I think Sovereignty is just, journalism was the best 3-year-old until April, and Sovereignty might just be growing up so much and maturing so much now that he has surpassed journalism, and I don't know if that horse is ever going to be able to catch up from a maturation standpoint.
Yeah, they say 3-year-old horses comparable to like 18 to 22-year-old males.
Mm-hmm.
It's not crazy that somebody goes into year 18 or 19 much better than somebody else, and then when they're 22 or 23, it's changed.
Yeah,
I mean, it can happen, and it can happen even quicker in horse racing. It was a good race. I liked it. It was the Belmont itself. There's just no day like the first Saturday in May in terms of just all-day racing, the spectacle of it all.
Having hour breaks between races because they had to cancel them was just such a bummer.
There's just nothing like the broadcast of the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, NBC.
But this is cool.
Yeah.
The build-up for journalism, Sovereignty, that was neat. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the race. We were out to dinner. People were watching. It was fun. Good race.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what's next. But Sovereignty could have been a Triple Crown winner. I don't know how anybody could say otherwise. That horse could have won the Preakness. Now, would it have been fresh enough to win the Belmont? I mean, it pretty much dominated the Belmont anyways. So you can say that they made the right call, but you can also say maybe they missed a chance at the third Triple Crown winner since, 70s, I believe?
78 was it was affirmed.
78 to 2015, and then in 2018.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Tough to say one way or another. The YouTube stream chat is, I got called a boomer in it, so that's exciting. got fun stuff over there. If you want to watch us for whatever reason instead of listening on radio, you have that option.
I got a little bummed, TJ, by just how my Belmont Stakes unfolded because of all the cancellations and because one of my worst gambling days of the year. Just one miss after another. And the worst part was somebody informed me that my tip sheet on the board had made them almost $400. So, I was giving people winners and I was losing too. It was just all-time dumb gambling day for myself. But I did have a really nice Sunday, and, maybe we'll talk about it later, but I had to go to the Kentucky football camp yesterday. And so once I got done with the camp, finish up my blog duties for the day, got the website looking good, met up with a couple of college roommates at the Distillery District in Lexington. TJ, have you been to the Distillery District in Lexington?
No.
It's unfreaking believable. One of the coolest. I was just completely jaw-dropped when I walked into there because I've driven by it plenty of times. Old Frankfort Pike turns into Manchester Street, and you follow it all the way in, and it leads you right to Rupp Arena. And I had seen, you see these big buildings going up around there. I'm like, oh, well, I guess this is what they call the Distillery District. I hear they got some bars over there. Well, they act as almost like cover, like they are blocking you from seeing all of the coolness that's on the other side, because the Town Branch Creek they want to put a new emphasis in, it's buried underneath the city of Lexington. It runs right through downtown. Right now it's buried. They're making that whole new park and greenscape right next to Rupp Arena so you can see more of it. Well, as it flows further out of town, it flows right alongside this distillery district. So I'm walking around. They've got this enormous Goodfellas pizzeria, and it's right the creek just lines the entire place. It's so cool looking. They have a brewery there. We got some beers. We're eating outside. There was a live jazz band playing. Ended up getting some food at a Mexican. There's a couple other bars if you wanted to go there. An ice cream shop. It was top-notch, top-tier entertainment. Very cool that Lexington has this. I was taken aback, TJ. I was blown away by the Distillery District in Lexington.
Well, great. I've got to go check it out. I really want to do just a weekend in Lexington, not when I'm rushed. Yeah, right. The best I get is hey, we'll get in a few hours before a game, and we'll go get dinner, or we'll walk around. And best case, maybe you'll spend the night, but need to do a whole weekend there.
Yeah, because then you can kind of explore it, really. It felt good. It felt good to be around there. It felt so good that I just did Old Frankfort Pike on the way back home. You get that smell of the summer air at night, cool air. Was in between the twilight and the full moon. It was great. Really great.
Well, that sounds great. We've got a lot more to get to on the show. Your text into the show, 502-414-1450. And if you'd rather get your comment in on the YouTube stream, we can talk comments that way as well. So plenty of ways to get in touch with the show. Not the most newsworthy UK sports weekend per se, but a big college. Well, yeah, there is UK things to talk about,
right.
But I think
not earth-shattering.
When I'm looking at the next things on my show sheet, I don't think we're getting into UK nuts and bolts right here. Although there is something that impacts UK, and that is the house settlement news, which was a nice little Friday news dump. We'll talk about that, which again does impact UK. A lot of fun topics: NBA Finals, college baseball. NFL news that impacts me, NFL news that impacts Roush, news around town.
Huh?
We'll get to all of it. This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio.
Roll Call.
Coming right back.
6 lengths off the pace. Hill Road is trying to match strides with him. Heart of Honor has dropped out. 3 quarters in 1:12.1. Journalism makes a decisive move with a quarter of a mile to go, and he takes command of the Belmont Stakes. Sovereignty angles out to try and run him down. It's a rematch of the Kentucky Derby as they come to the 8th pole, and here comes Sovereignty. Sovereignty goes right by journalism once again, leaving absolutely no doubt who the best 3-year-old in the world is. Sovereignty
plumbers, pipe fitters, welders, and HVAC technicians of Local 502's commitment to excellence can be seen in our community every day.
On them and take no charge. We so big, yeah, we look like bodyguards, man.
Welcome back, Kentucky Roll Call here on Big X Sports Radio. You give me a reason to play this song, I'm probably going to play it if given the opportunity. It's a terrible song, surely, but it's fun. It's fun. It is great. It's great in the college rap genre. Is it like, well, you know what? It's just great. It's not even bad. Welcome back. Murray State, Game 3 in Durham against Duke. I don't care who Duke is playing. I'm going to be rooting for the other team almost 99% of the time, let alone a small little college in Kentucky. the underdog of all underdogs in the college baseball world, playing for a spot in Omaha tonight, Roush?
Do you know how many 4 seeds have made the College World Series?
2 or 3, maybe?
3. This will be the 4th if they can get the dub. Won 19-9 yesterday. They were teeing off, and it wasn't just hitting home runs. They did have 4 of those. But I think the part that I appreciated the most is that Duke came back. I mean, I think Murray was up 10-3. Yeah, and then Duke made it a 10-8 game, scored 5 runs in 1 inning, but there was no panic. And that's what you need going into a closeout elimination game. They didn't flinch when they played Ole Miss. Can't flinch tonight. History's on the line. What time's that game, TJ? They hadn't announced the game.
7 o'clock, which is so dumb. I hate that so much. I know Murray State's on Central Time, barely, but...
Why don't you like 7?
Because the game's not going to end till 10:45 at best. Have you seen these teams play?
But
Over-under of 17?
7 feels like the earliest they'll play any of these games. So
They should have had this game. They should have this game at 5 o'clock at the latest 6. So it's ending and it's getting exciting where everybody's kind of watching TV around 9:30. Oh, tune in, final 2 innings, Murray State, just a couple outs away from huge underdog story. Where now that's going to be like 11:15 or 11:30 if that happens, and people are just going to be pooped and not really going to be all that interested. I think if you would have strategically placed this game where innings 7, 8, and 9 was kind of prime time watching, when 7:30, 8:30, 9 o'clock. It would have been a lot better, and more eyeballs would have been on it.
That's not how TV works, or else finals games would be starting at 6 o'clock.
Well,
too.
I would say the NBA Finals is a little different than a college baseball game that could be 4.5 hours. That's the thing. These games may last forever. This Murray State game may go on for a really long time. Like I said, over-under at 17. I'm seeing 16.5 now, so maybe it's gone down a little bit. Duke minus 275. Murray State, big underdogs, but they can do it. They're going to have to do it with offense, though, Roush. If the under hits, it's probably good news for Duke. If the over hits, probably good news for Murray State. If you're Murray State, you're probably wondering, all right, how good can Duke's bullpen and pitching be this late in the postseason? We know ours is trash. We know ours isn't very good, but if Duke's is bad, we can out-hit them. We can outscore them. That's what they've done pretty much against any team in which they've been victorious in this postseason. They'll need to do it one more time to become, unfortunately, Roush, the second team from the Commonwealth to go to Omaha. Louisville punched its ticket in a Game 3 situation against Miami. Great game, tense game. Louisville ends up winning it by a run. Dan McDonald can't win the big one, but he can get to Omaha. He's now been, 5 times, 6 times? He's no stranger. He's got.
I think it might be 6. Yeah.
It could even. I wouldn't be shocked if it were 7. But he is a great coach. Louisville fans were getting a little frustrated with him. He breaks through. They go back on a year where they weren't really anticipating or expecting it, and hopefully now Nick Mingione. All right, you went. That was great. That was fun. But now your biggest rival has been more recently, so you got to change that. So, and to Nick Mingione and the Batcats' credit, Roush, every time I refresh Twitter, they're getting another good pitcher in the program. So the issues that haunted the team this year, and you see this in sports all the time, and I'm always quick to talk about it, but coaches will certainly be reactionary. And the pitching was unacceptable this year. Having a lead in 28 of 31 SEC games, but only winning 13 of them, that's unacceptable. So they've gotten a pitcher from North Florida, I believe, Western Kentucky, and several other spots, but those were the 2, at least over the weekend, that you may have missed. And these are good pitchers. These are all conference type of dudes. So that, hopefully, that issue of pitching should be addressed. You're going to be returning multiple starters, which is great. But you got to get back to Omaha now because your biggest rival's gone. And I don't worry about U of L winning at all, Roush, but you don't. You want it to be UK. You don't want it to be your rival. You want it to be the Cats. So you got to get back there sooner rather than later.
I did. One of my friends is actually going to Omaha for work this week. So he's like, I think I might just have to move my flight back and go to the game. It's like, yeah, I mean, when else are you going to have an excuse to go to the College World Series? You know? one that's that convenient as well. You're already there. So yeah, it'd be fun. Gotta get the Cats back there.
And the Murray State Duke game that will be the last to see who joins the field. We know 7 out of 8 spots. And by the way, I'm not gonna tweet it out because Louisville is there and Kentucky is not. But Dan McDowell had a quote about the ACC after their game. He was like, another league gets talked about a lot more, and we felt disrespected and stuff like that. If Murray State pulls off the upset, SEC, 2 teams in Omaha. ACC, 1 team. At best, the ACC is going to get as many teams as the SEC. I don't know if right now is the time to be doing all the flexing on the SEC like everybody thinks. Not my position to be really banging that drum. Kentucky's ass is at home and Louisville's in there, and good for them. But let's just, the SEC hate, I can understand SEC fatigue. If you're not a fan of a team from the SEC, turning the TV on a college football Saturday or really any time of the year, they're probably talking about the SEC, and that probably gets annoying to you. I understand it. But don't force it. Don't force the smack talk when unnecessary. The SEC is going to have the most or tied for the most teams in Omaha, and I would say LSU and Arkansas are going to be your favorites to win it all. They're both great.
I
think they'll be in the same bracket, unfortunately, though, so only one could come out.
Oh, a bunch of SEC teams lost. Cry me a river. Like I'm so glad Tennessee lost. They got their asses kicked by Arkansas. A little SEC on SEC crime, but like I don't feel the need to engage except when I want to be annoying because I really don't care as much as
I just want
others.
Like things to be factually true. The SEC is the best league. It doesn't mean that it can't have a bad year or down year. Doesn't mean it dominates every single sport and every single conference.
Just because you lose in the postseason doesn't mean you have a bunch of bad teams. Like that's not how sports works. Like there are upsets, things happen. So just because it was 8 of the 16 national seeds were from the SEC. Oh, you had some upsets. That's good for the sport, okay? It's fun for fodder, but I'm not going to go here and, like, get out my sword and say, oh, yeah, I don't.
Yeah, no, I hear it.
SEC basketball kicked all kinds of ass this year. You had 2 Final Four teams. You had a team win the national title. How many were in the playoff? 3. They did all right. But I'm not going to think half of the Final Four was from the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm not going to, yeah, it's good. That's how it works.
I don't think it's the time. That being said, Louisville, UCLA, Arkansas, Coastal Carolina, Arizona, LSU, Oregon State, and hopefully Murray State will be joining the field in Omaha. Who's winning the Jello Shot Challenge? Obviously, it's LSU, so I should ask you who's coming in second place.
I think that they will just wave the white flag, and LSU will they will have more Jello shots for LSU than the rest of the teams combined.
I think that's probably fair.
Especially if they win,
LSU
they go
versus
that
the
second
field.
weekend.
Like Arkansas probably will do a decent job, but it's actually going to be blowout city. Arkansas will do solid, but Louisville, no disrespect, but I don't think they're going to have a ton of fans, or they'll have a decent amount of fans, but just not a close-by school that has a big baseball tradition necessarily. Same applies to UCLA. Arkansas will hold their own. Coastal Carolina, Arizona, Oregon State, good baseball tradition. That's pretty far away. And then if it's Duke or Murray State, just not huge fan bases. So it's, what is it, Rocco's? Is that the name of the place?
Correct.
Yeah, they're probably a little disappointed with the field in terms of how many. You want another prideful drinking place.
Yeah.
To
UCLA
with LSU.
Yeah.
And again, Arkansas may try to give them a run for their money, but both them being in the same bracket is not ideal. If they were on opposite sides, maybe you could get a College World Series best of 3. Let those folks be drinking all week for 2 weeks or 10 days, however long it is. But that'll get started this weekend.
Nice little rivalry. LSU, the boot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Roush, I hated all the rainy weather for the church picnics. I got out to ours on Friday, but we weren't. We were probably only there for about an hour and 30 minutes before the rain. And I was like, all right, well, tomorrow it shouldn't be as bad. Probably worse on Saturday. Just a lot of rain all weekend. Hate that for the church picnics. But we'll get back at it again this weekend. I think St. Raphael's on deck, so that'll be a good one.
Raining all day today, too. We got supposed to have the last T-ball game of the year tonight.
oh, we have our first practice tomorrow. So one T-ball season ends, one starts. No better time to get T-ball started than in the armpit of summer.
Yeah, that's good luck.
Did I tell you that I missed both of the meetings last week?
Both meetings?
Yeah, both of them. I mean, granted, they gave us. I should have attended one of them. They were Zooms. I should have been in one of the meetings.
Oh, Zoom.
They were Zooms. And granted, they gave us a 48-hour heads up on the meeting after we signed up for T-ball in March. So here's how the timeline went. Sign up in March. Don't hear anything until beginning of June. Then get 48 hours for these meetings, which, granted, I should have been there, and I just did forget about them. They're at 5:45, which is pretty busy time for a parent.
For a meeting, yeah.
Pretty
If
busy
you're
time.
coaching little ones, 5:45 is the witching hour.
But we're getting after it tomorrow, first practice. And then we have another practice on Thursday. Nothing like making 3-year-olds have 2 practices in a 3-day span. You got to get them ready. I figured we'd do 2-a-days, but they don't allow those, unfortunately.
I would, honestly, I think that's actually a good idea.
Remember the MTV show, 2-a-days?
Right. But just getting them acquainted with it is not, I think it's kind of a good idea.
Well, I think a good idea would have been starting this back in March when everybody signed up. That probably would have been a pretty good idea.
So they didn't tell you when it was even starting?
No.
Yeah, I would have just bailed.
But we've got 2. Well, you paid. When you signed up, you gave them money to do it. So you were like, all right, well, gonna wait to hear back.
Kinda hooked.
I figured that they just had stolen our money. So it was somewhat a nice surprise when we at least got an email, despite it being months later. But we'll get the practices going. And then it's season time. I think we're like taking on like the Bullitt County T-ball in game 1.
What? You're not just playing other kids at the same
I don't think
bar?
it's all Linden. No, I don't think so.
Huh. Interesting.
They probably touched on this in the meeting, but I wasn't there, so I'm not 100% sure about some of this. Should be a good time though. But you got your last one tonight.
If the rain holds, which last year we had our last one washed out, so we didn't get our medals. Or
I was gonna say, if the last one's washed out, is it just like, all right, see you next time?
They've at least been making some of them up this year, so they'll probably not making this one up. I would imagine. I would hope. We'll see. But yeah, rain, go away. The rain doesn't bother me as much. It's the post-rain humidity / mosquitoes. Get those the hell out of here.
Yeah, humidity's the worst. That's why summer in Kentucky is generally not the best.
No, but you know who is the best is the fine folks on our text line.
They are. Yeah, we always love hearing from them.
502-414-1450 is the number. South and Josh texted in and said, best life hack is taking the Monday after your vacation off so you can get all of your Sunday and Monday to recover. Or you just come back on Saturday. That's usually what we do.
I'm a huge fan of getting back on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, the point is well taken, Josh. You can't just get home, especially if you have children, because you come home to a house without any food, you got to do laundry. I have started doing, especially when we go visit the in-laws, you just do your laundry before you come home. That's fun. It's a fun little bit.
Yeah, South and Josh, I don't know if I am burning a vacation day just for the recovery of a vacation.
Yeah.
I'd much rather burn that vacation day to get vacation started earlier, come back Saturday, and have that Sunday for exactly what you're talking about. I don't think you thought this all the way through, South End Josh. I think you just burned a vacation day to be kind of lazy. No offense. If you're watching on the stream, South End Josh, you'll see that I'm smiling. Hope you had a great time in Orange Beach.
Nick is right. The Distillery District is levels above the bar scene compared to downtown Lex, in my opinion. Tons of options, great food, and even better atmosphere. I think the biggest thing that my buddies were pointing out is it's great for people our age where you don't want to get into the college bar scene, right? Or even the kind of hobnobby, blue-haired bar scene, for the lack of a better term. Blue hairs isn't the right one, but you know the kind of...
What do you mean blue-haired?
Old money.
Oh, okay. Like blue hair in Lexington could mean something else too.
No, I'm thinking like the old money, like, you know, your divorcees.
Not the insufferable liberals.
No, like I'm talking people like older than us.
Okay. Just
like
double check.
Who have kids that are in like middle school that, you know, I just the people that hang out at Jeff Ruby's that I can't wheel and deal with that crowd. You know, maybe you can at the Henry Clay or something.
It's over on Manchester Street?
Yeah, right on Manchester Street. It's really nice. And, hell, they had the little jazz band going outside.
Supposedly cows love jazz music.
The other thing, too, TJ, that just people don't talk about enough is how much better Lexington is as a city when college isn't happening.
Yeah.
Summer in Lexington, so great. I was just driving around without, 1,000 people in the way. There wasn't sirens going every 5 seconds. It was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Would you like to deport the students is what I'm hearing?
Yep. It's call ice, which I don't really know what's that's one of those news stories that I haven't really seen, but I'm like, so, sounds like there's some bad stuff going on out in L.A. Don't know who is protesting what, but looks pretty nasty. Glad I'm not out there.
It's mostly peaceful. That's all you gotta remind yourself. On the stream, we had who was it? Shay say the sound distortion. Where to go? Distortion is wild. And Keith followed up with, I wouldn't expect anything less. It actually sounds amazing, though, for KRC standards. And then Shay also says, Bullitt County T-ball going to rock the Yuppies. Not so sure about that, buddy. Not so sure about it.
Keith did Alaska for 12 days. My parents, they're in the middle of 2 weeks up there. So they're I don't want to say freezing their buns off, but they're enjoying the coolness.
No, that'd be nice.
Yeah, I'm not as anti-summer as I used to be, because you still have those days where it's like 10:30 and you're sweating. We went out to we checked out the new park I mentioned last week. The Legacy Park, Nick Roush Legacy Park out off 3rd Street. Some of the coolest playground equipment ever. I mean, just the stuff that the playground engineers are making nowadays. So cool. But even on a cooler day, I'm like, a little sticky, a little sweaty. I would rather not be sweating, but hey, we got to embrace the sweat. It's summer. Embrace it.
Shay ranks his seasons: fall, winter, spring, and then last summer by a mile. Yeah, I'd probably put spring above winter. Probably have winter third.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I'm excited. Spring. There's March Madness. Then Derby's happening.
I'm trying to go strictly just with weather. Like, aside from the season and what comes with the season, just existing in Louisville, Kentucky, and having to be outside, I'd go fall, spring, winter, summer.
Even if you're talking just weather, though, the excitement of what that weather brings. We're finally getting fall weather. That means we got real sports coming. It's going to cool down. It's going to be real nice.
Well, if we're going by excitement of what the weather brings, I'm moving winter up to number 2. Because, one, we normally have mild winters, which I'm cool with. But if we don't, then it's like, there's going to be a winter storm, which for like the first 2 is kind of exciting. Who doesn't love a good snowstorm? And if you don't, then you can go move to China.
They have lots of winter storms there, though.
Well, in the warm parts, though.
Oh, okay.
The parts where it doesn't do it.
But what about the winter sports is better than spring and March Madness and Derby?
Again, I'm trying to put sports aside. I'm talking strictly about the weather and the anticipation of what comes with the weather, not talking about the things outside the weather.
Okay, well, what is the anticipation of the weather? Like, you're just getting excited for snow?
Like a snowstorm, or in the spring, a tornado. What comes with the sea? How are you not following?
Yes, you don't. Like, you do things outside when it's warmer or it's milder. Like, you don't do anything in the winter. You're stuck inside unless it snows that one day.
About? No, you
and then it's exciting for like 2 hours.
It's like, I would much rather have a 48-degree December day than a 98-degree July day. I'm going to be more outside in the winter.
I'm debating spring versus winter, TJ. That's what you did. You moved winter ahead of spring, and I'm trying to call you an idiot for it.
Yes, I would be much more, if we're talking about only what comes with the weather. Yes. What comes with the weather.
With the weather.
The excitement of a snowstorm is better than the excitement of a spring tornado.
Yes, but you're talking about 2 days. Like that. Like, we'll get like 2 or 3 days out of those during a season. Overall, during the spring, you're outside more because there's more stuff to do. It's more fun.
I don't know if that's even necessarily true in Kentucky.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this past year, certainly, but we'll have mild winters in spring. You know what? Now I'm cementing it. I'm digging my heels in. Spring, it rains all the time. You like flooding? Floods all the time. Floods in winter a little bit, too. So doesn't help my argument a great deal there.
I would say
but you don't get tornadoes. You don't get tornadoes in winter. And tornadoes have been really bad, Roush. You're not pro tornado, are you?
See, this is the part. Is you're putting me in a case that I can't win because you're just saying, oh, look at all these bad natural disasters we just had. The floods, canceled thunder.
Oh, no, we may get too much snow, and you may not have to go to work for an extra week in the winter. God forbid. Yeah. The winter tragedies. Well, I shouldn't use the word tragedies.
It sounded like Scoots over here.
The winter storms are fun and cheeky and full of shenanigans, where the spring storms are just terrible. That's where you have like the phonathons and the drives, and they're not nearly as enjoyable or sweet. Now, of course, in all seriousness, you could have terrible winter storms where people are on the verge of freezing to death. I'm not talking about those. Those aren't as fun to have in a fun little radio debate. Shay luckily has my back on the YouTube stream. Appreciate you there. Let's get off the weather conversation here just for a moment. Did you watch Game 2 of the NBA Finals? Talking about you know what? We're back to talking about Thunder.
I saw 0 seconds of the NBA Finals. Because that was when I was doing the Distillery District and all that sort of stuff. And by the time I was ready to get locked into the Finals, stuff was coming up, and then the Thunder were just beating their brains in.
Yeah, you could see that game coming. If you're the Pacers, you're still happy with how those two games went. You got one. You stole one. You theoretically do have home court advantage. I was with you, though, was keeping up on it, just seeing, all right, are the Pacers going to do it again? Are they going to get back into this game? They were unable to do it. Had some chances. It was another buffer zone game, if you will, a bigger buffer zone game than Game 1 was, but no big dramatic move there from the Pacers. The Thunder were able to keep them at bay, 20 points for the most part throughout the fourth quarter, and never really had to sweat it out too much. I think it's going to be a gentleman's sweep, Roush. I'll be betting the Thunder money line or points, depending if I like the number, every game moving forward. I like the Pacers storyline. That Game 1 was incredible. I think the Thunder just needed to see, all right, how do you close them out? We failed doing that Game 1. Okay, we know how now. And yeah, the games will be much closer in Indiana, but I'm still thinking the Thunder win the next 3, making it 4 straight to close this thing out.
I'm confident in Indy getting one at Cambridge Fieldhouse. Going to get one. They are going to get one.
My take is it's all over. Thunder just needed to see them pound them, bury them. All right, Pacers going to make a little run here. We can put our foot back on their throat. Did just that. I'm afraid at least we got that Game 1, and nobody can take that away from us. But we'll see. Indy's going to be bumping, though. It'll be a great atmosphere.
I'm sorry, TJ. We got to go back to the weather debate. You're so wrong in so many ways.
We're talking about Thunder, so feel free.
Because
plenty of it in the spring.
Kids outside in snow weather sucks. And then they don't last as long as you want to. When it rains in my house, that is the easiest babysitting I do all year. It's the most fun you can let them have is just run around in the water. That was their bath Friday night.
That's disingenuous debating to say it's fun to let kids run around in the rain, but it's not fun to let kids run around in the snow.
No.
That's disingenuous.
It's awful. They fall in, they get cold. It's a whole pain in the ass. It is so much easier to have young little kids splashing in the mud and in the rain than dealing with the snow because they get cold and then they're miserable.
Are you familiar with Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas?
I actually don't know if I've ever seen it start to finish.
Pretty wild that you just admitted that on radio. But
I don't really like the claymation.
We're the most honest. It is a little weird.
Yeah.
We're the most honest radio show on air, so that's cool. At the start of it, you maybe are familiar with this scene. There's different doors. There's like a Halloween door. There's a Thanksgiving door. There's an Easter door and whatnot. If you had a rain or a snow door, what do you think the 3-year-old's picking?
What's that picking?
If they're going into a little winter wonderland or a little stormy rain wonderland?
See, but the 3-year-old doesn't know what's good, what's their own good, because they want to go out in the snow.
No need to sidestep the question.
Here's the other part, too.
The cute little 3-year-old.
Yeah, my kid's picking the rain, because they can ride their bikes through the water, through the puddles.
We get done saying we're the most honest radio show on air, and you have rats lying to your faces directly. I apologize on his behalf, everybody.
When the last snow happened and it was out there for a few days, we went out one time and they were like good with it afterwards.
I don't doubt that. Listen, I'm a dad too. I know that it sucks getting a kid ready to go out in the snow. I'm just saying every kid is picking snow over rain.
No.
They are. They're seeing that. We actually, when we were in Gatlinburg, one of the places we went had a little snow like igloo thing where you could go inside. My daughter in just normal clothes went and started making snow angels. I was like, you're going to be soaking wet. What are we doing? But she couldn't help herself because she's three and loves snow. Right. I love a good weather debate because it's all subjective, but you can't. Oh yeah, you can't act that way.
We just keep talking in circles, and it's the best way to talk in circles until we get to our end of hour number 1 break. Your best way to make sure that you got dinner or lunch taken care of, have a little late lunch, is by stopping by Salsaritas, the fresh Mexican cantina. They've got well-marinated meats made right in front of your face, whether you want tacos, nachos with their wildly addictive chips, burrito bowls, taco salads. Just throw in some vegetables. Eat a little bit healthier when you stop by either one of their 3 locations. They got one in Shepherdsville, St. Matthews, and a drive-through at the Middletown location of Shelbyville Road. Salsaritas, it's the best. We'll be right back. One more Out of Kentucky roll call right around the corner.
All along the eastern shore, just seconds in the sea. This is what the world is for.
This is Kentuckiana's only locally owned sports talk. The Big X, AM 1450 and 96.1 FM, WXVW Jeffersonville. Welcome back for hour 2 of Kentucky Roll Call
Nothing is over until we decide it is.
with Walker and Roush.
We're just getting started, bro.
Welcome back. Hour number 2, Kentucky Roll Call here on Big X Sports Radio. That was a fun first hour on a day that I have a lot of sports things to get to. A nice, friendly, subjective weather debate. Although it really isn't subjective between the 3-year-olds. They're going to pick the snow over the rain every day of the week. I did have it is raining today, or was raining today. That did stink in the summer as a kid, just the rainy days where you couldn't do anything, stuck inside the house.
Yeah, could be worse.
Do you have a babysitter?
No. My grandmother. But that just meant you played in the basement and probably had to watch more TV and play more video games.
Yeah.
So, not the worst thing.
No, not at all.
It feels, as a parent now, it sucks because you want to get them out and you want to wear them out. Whereas if they're just sitting around all day, they just drive you nuts and they start beating up each other and it's a whole thing. But hey,
that's parenthood, baby.
We're figuring it out. Did you watch the 5.5-hour tennis match yesterday?
I did not, but goodness gracious, the tennis purists were really
having themselves a time.
Couldn't get enough of it.
Nope.
I love good tennis. I really do. I can't remember the last time I watched it, so how much do you really love something that you never talked about? But like when those matches back in 2009 and 2010 and whatnot, and who was it? Nadal, Federer, some of those classics.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed watching those, and I like playing tennis, but I did not get to see the center come up just short yesterday.
Yannick Skinner.
I thought it was spelled Sinner.
Whatever. But he also Alcaraz.
Okay.
That's what I know.
I didn't get to see it. Did you watch it?
I don't like tennis, and saying that it's going to be 5.5 hours, tennis needs to be like 15 minutes.
I know. I complain. I was going to say another word. I complain about times all the time.
Yeah, 5.5 hours, just too long.
5.5 hours is ridiculous.
It is pretty. I think the one thing that's nice, though, it reminds me of old school Survivor when they start losing their minds at the end with fatigue. Because you're really missing that out in new Survivor. People just aren't going crazy from being out on an island forever. You get a little bit of that when you get in these long marathon tennis matches. So that part's fun.
Classic 7 Days in Hell. Did you watch that on HBO?
I did not. No.
Oh, you have got to watch that. It is funny. Good stuff. Andy Samberg.
Oh, is he just mimicking it? Oh yeah. I've seen that where he goes up against Jon Snow, Kit Harington.
They're in the tennis match.
Yeah, it's great. I've seen that one. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Yeah, 5.5 hours. I mean, it is impressive though to just be doing anything physical for 5.5 hours, and you can't blame anybody else. It's just you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't, like tennis people. I mean, humans will always find a way to blame something else, but realistically, it's you versus them. And 5.5 hours of sweating it out, the mental gymnastics that go into it, having to battle your own mind versus body as you're cramping and tired and worn out, but just wanting to be just better than the person across the net from you. Like, it's entertaining. It's great. It's great sport. 5.5 hours is crazy, though, to just expect people to sit there and watch.
Which we kind of got in the golf playoff, correct?
Yeah.
How long did that go?
Was it 4 holes or 5 holes? How many holes did they end up playing?
That's what I don't know if it was 4 or 5. Because I just saw somebody make the joke on Twitter, if they went to a 5th, they would have to play with hockey sticks. So
that actually is in Canada.
It's a new rule, because, Canadian Open. Fox won the 4th playoff hole, beat Sam Burns. And he was the one who had to hit the long putt just to force the playoff. So that was pretty cool. But the best golf shot of the day, though, was Phil Mickelson. My God. That guy still got it, dude. I don't know what it... Tiger, obviously, the best ever do it, but, will anybody ever be able to do what Phil can do with a wedge around the green? I mean, it is just... He
needs to capitalize on a Savannah Bananas golf.
Seriously, it's Globetrotters.
He needs to go to full stadiums and do those things.
It's crazy. He looked like he was aiming just to the grandstand. Like his legs were pointed just, I don't know, 15, 20 degrees left of the cup, and that was just how he had to have his feet because of the lie, and he hits it over his head and drops it right into the hole. Ridiculous golf shot.
That was incredible. Fun to see, and it is U.S. Open week. They're going to be at Oakmont.
Ooh.
Of course, that I've played twice, no big deal.
So we got to get in. You got to mention that every day before, right?
Yeah, it'll be annoying.
Yeah. No. It'll be a bit.
We'll do it.
Not annoying, just a bit.
Sure. That'll be fun, though.
Yeah. It'll be a good time.
I told my friends that I thought Rory was going to have a good week this week. They laughed me out of the gym. They're like, no way. He's going to stink. It's Scotty's to lose. I was like, all right, not that picking Rory is really going out on this, like I'm picking some amateur golfer or anything like that. But, all right, you're picking Scotty Scheffler. Yeah, of course he's probably going to win. All right, it's fun to do somebody that's not him right now, okay? And I know Rory, again, really isn't going out far on a limb, but anybody but Scotty right now is going out on a limb. So, Roush, are you going out on a limb when it's said and done and we make our predictions on Wednesday? Or are you just going to be like all the other sheeple out there?
No, I'm going to pick Bryson probably. He was close in the Masters. It's right there.
I think Oakmont's going to be too tough for old Brycey boy.
I mean, picking any of these long guys is a smart thing to do at the U.S. Open. Who smashes the ball the farthest? Like, it's kind of how it works. Now, granted, you got to be able to be accurate on them, which wasn't necessarily the case for Scotty at the PGA. He was able to overcome that, and you would think that him and Rory would both be better now that they've been able to use new drivers a little bit longer, aren't getting DQ'd. Are we going to have another driver gate? Because I feel like that's where you want the driver's the most important stick when you're out at a place like Oakmont in the U.S. Open.
I hope so. The more drama, the better. I hope we have a lot of stick controversy.
Which, speaking of controversy, TJ, we kind of kicked the can down the road. We have to talk about the decision that is changing college athletics forever. Pay for play is here. Universities will be paying student athletes $20.5 million per year. That doesn't include the $2.7 billion in back pay that dates all the way back to 2016 that all of these schools that opt in will collectively have to pay back to players. Really upset that my wife just barely missed a cut for that one. Would have loved to have gotten a house settlement check. So that stinks. I think she was just a year away from that. But it's one of those that we've been waiting for this moment to happen time and time again. It's here, but TJ, I still don't feel like I have any great answers from the University of Kentucky. They did at least give out an FAQs, but they did not provide any clarity on how they're going to split up.
Let's hold off on that for just a second, because this conversation can be boring for people that don't know what we're talking about. And I don't even know some of what we're talking about. Let me ask you this, though, because people hear this, and I don't have a great way to explain it. Not every school has to opt in to agreeing to paying their people $20.5 million, correct?
And you can also opt in and pay less than 20.5, but that's a competitive disadvantage. So
can you tell people why that is?
Because
and what happens to the places that don't opt in or don't opt in to the full amount?
Every school in the SEC is going to opt in to the 20.5 because if you don't, then you will fall behind. Like there's just no way around it. You will see. I mean, it'll be shocking if a power conference school doesn't opt in. It just will. Maybe there will be some that pay a little bit less, but it would be the easiest negative recruiting thing you could ever do is say, well, they don't care about athletics because they're not opted in. So at the power conference ranks, I would expect almost all to opt in for the full amount. I'm curious what it's going to be like for places in the Big East. What does that mean for them? Because they don't have football generating money. So that's a little bit different.
Yeah, you can
Group
see
of
how
five is different as well.
I think a lot of people looked at it at least initially as an advantage of, oh, they don't have as many sports. That's gonna all that 20 can go to basketball. That's gonna be great. Well, they also don't have the football revenue to bring money in.
And that's the most complicated part of this entire thing is that they have to find this $20.5 million. There is not a guaranteed revenue stream that's coming with this.
You're going to get some private equity.
Obviously, yeah. You'll have private equity investors come in. The SEC and Big Ten just did sign media rights deals, but the biggest, they could have been doing this years ago, TJ, but instead, athletic departments were spending money so much so they could look like a nonprofit, right? Like they were putting slides in facilities and doing all of these things and paying coaches more than what they deserved because
they had to.
Exactly, because you had to operate as a nonprofit essentially. You wanted to have a balanced, clean budget. In Kentucky's case in particular, one thing I think they're going to do is they were one of those schools that would give back to the school. Like the athletic department would make so much money and they would operate such a tight ship, they would give money to the school. I don't know how much it was. I'm not FOIA'd it, but they
were proud of it.
Mitch was big on that.
Yeah.
So that
a lot of school. If you were ever around athletics, when I was a student, a staffer would just mention it to you at some point. A lot of athletic programs have to take money from the school. The students are paying into it. Blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Not us. We actually give back to the school. I think when they told me that back in 09 or 10, UK was one of 3 schools that actually gave back to academics at that time.
And it might even be fewer now. So that's one way you can generate more revenue. What's going to happen at a lot of these schools, TJ? They're just going to cut sports that are too cost prohibitive. I know UK has a stunt team.
Are you saying that they maybe had a stunt team?
Well, they say they're keeping it, but what is stunt? Stunt is like a combination of dance, cheerleading. Sports like that are in trouble. Your water polos are in trouble at your West Coast schools. Some of the soccer programs, I think, would be as well, too. And a lot of these programs, their primary function is Title IX. You need to have balance. So with a men's football has 85 roster spots, or now I guess it's going to go up to 105 or what. I don't have the exact numbers for all of these in front of me. But a lot of those, you would need a lot of women's sports to kind of act as a counterbalance.
Women's rowing is very popular at U of L.
Yeah, it takes up. You need a lot of athletes to run it. So
big boat.
You're gonna see some cuts in sports to help balance budgets. I know Ohio State was maybe selling tickets to spring practices to be able to try to generate revenue. So there's going to be a lot of the stuff you saw early on in the NIL days. It's going to be coming to college athletics as well as just doing private equity. Which
sport at UK would you want cut the most?
I would probably just pick the stunt one first because that's the newest one that they just picked up, and they probably have to have a lot of people for that one.
Yeah, okay.
Then I would probably say men's soccer. Are we in Conference USA?
Yeah, we are in Conference USA.
Yeah, so then I would probably say that because that's a lot of people. The other thing you're going to hear, TJ, is you're going to hear schools say that we are opting in for the full I forget the exact terminology. They're saying that we're going to opt in for the full amount. We're maximizing all of the roster limits. So
gotcha.
If whatever the roster limit is, we're going to fill them all up, and we're going to pay all of our people. That Texas A&M has said that they're going to do that. So that's something to monitor because I think that's another way to maybe penny pinch is you don't cut a sport, but you don't have the full roster limit for all of the sports. Maybe that's an option. There was one other thing, too, that I don't know how they're going to get away with it, but it's something that Trev Alberts did when he took the job at Texas A&M and he hired Mike Elko. And he worked into his contract that it could be renegotiated if the financial structure changes in college athletics. Long story short, these coaches are just going to get paid less. Look at the NFL. I know they get paid a ton, but they don't make more than their players. They just don't. No. Maybe some of the minimum guys. But for this to work, they're no longer going to be paid the exorbitant salaries that they're paid.
No, I think that's great.
Yeah.
And I'm not somebody that's like, let that money go to the kid. I'm a free market kind of guy. The money will go where it is, but those coaches didn't need to be making that much money.
Yeah, it's too much. I know their jobs are challenging and there's all this and that and the other, but no, the bubble's way too big. It's going to pop. And the worst part of it too, TJ, is the way that it it's operated under, it's basically you're trying to make yourself fireproof with massive contracts. And some are successful, as some Kentucky fans would like to point out with their head football coach. But you're basically setting yourself up to get paid when you are inevitably fired. And that's just, it's not right. So that should bring a little bit of balance and take away from some of the crazy coaching contracts. But you know what? There were still a couple people that got huge deals. I saw Mike Norvell had his renegotiated this offseason. Went from undefeated to 2-10. Renegotiations will happen after that.
But not with Green Bay and Jair Alexander.
Wait, are they?
Green Bay cut him.
They just said, see ya.
Adios.
Good for them.
Save $17 million in cap space. Will be about $8 million in dead money this year and $9 million in dead money in 2026. But adios, Jair Alexander. Don't let the door hit you. Because if it were, you'd be back on the IR. Only had played in 7 games each of the last 2 seasons, Nick Roush.
And no serious injury. Was
dominant when healthy. Had, what was it, the 2019 season where I think he had 5 or 6 interceptions, which was, I think, about nearly half his total as a Packer. So he was all NFL, but then just could not stay healthy, which was an issue for him at Louisville as well. When healthy, who knows? It's been so long since you've gotten to see him play consistently. But when healthy, you think of him as one of the top corners in the league. It has been just such a long time since you've been able to consistently do that. Then he becomes a headache off the field, just doing silly things nonstop. You can put up with it when he's playing and he's doing well, but when he's not, it's just a distraction and it's an annoyance. And the guy's just a goober.
Because the whole thing in Charlotte was really weird.
Who does that? He's in Charlotte, and he's not made a captain. And he's not made a captain because you're not playing. And it's not like, you know what, dude, you play all the time, but as Roush alluded to, you had a severe injury and you're out. That's not what happened. He's always just been play, sit, play, sit, play, sit. It wasn't a serious injury, so he's not made a captain because you're never out on the field. Can't make the club in the tub, as they say.
Love that saying.
So you're not a captain, not because you're not good enough to be a captain. You, by talent level, you'd probably be the top dog. But you're not a captain because captains need to be in the huddle with people giving direction, leading, inspiring. And you're just not there. So you're not a captain. It's not personal. It's not because they didn't like you. You're just not a captain. So Green Bay plays in a game in Charlotte where Jair is from. And he says, they didn't make me a captain. Well, I'm going to be a captain. So he goes to midfield. He's not supposed to be there, which is that a penalty? Do you have to have that written down, who the captains are? Do the officials care? Do they even look?
I don't know.
I don't know
if
really
it differs
care.
at levels because sometimes you'll see 2, sometimes you'll see 4. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure.
But then not only is he out there and he's not supposed to be out there, he interjects himself into the coin toss because he has promoted himself a captain and nearly cost Green Bay a possession. Thankfully, the official, I remember when all this happened, thankfully the official was cool and was like, wait, do you realize what you're saying right now? But he said that he wanted to be on defense, but he didn't answer whether they wanted to defer or not. So basically, it was a whole mess. He said, I said I wanted our defense to be out there, and they looked at me like I was all crazy. I mean, it's pretty simple. When I say I want the defense to be out there, he was just like, defer? And I was like, yeah. And everybody was like, yeah. Everybody was laughing. And I'm like, what are they all laughing at? It's pretty obvious what I'm asking for. Nearly gave up a possession. Matt LaFleur, who I'm not the biggest fan of, obviously, he was pissed after that.
Yeah?
He was so mad. They suspended Jair a game for that, and was not happy. Although it's a classic Matt LaFleur issue. Like, hey, dude, what are you doing? Do you not see him walking out to the field? And I know it's an awkward situation where maybe you don't go grab him necessarily, but he played that entire game. Like, why is that happening under your watch, which is the same issue I have with Matt LaFleur, along with him just being kind of a dweeb, is he doesn't. They're just not disciplined. There's a ton of penalties all the time, and then you have people going out there pretending they're captains when they're not captains. But that's going on in Green Bay land. At the end of the day, I'm happy about it. Jair Alexander is incredibly talented. He's just a goober, and he doesn't like playing football. Can't be convinced otherwise. He'll go to a good team, or wherever he goes, Roush, they're going to be super excited about him, and understandably so. And he'll probably play 3 games, 4 games, and people will be losing their mind. Just wait. Jair Alexander is Jair Alexander. And his favorite thing to do is to make money not playing football.
I enjoyed seeing some other news around the NFL, though. Nick Chubb getting a new lease on life outside of the Cleveland Browns. Signing a 1-year deal with the Houston Texans. I don't know what to expect with him after his second serious knee injury. But even if it's a shell of Nick Chubb, I know the Texans had a sophomore slump with C.J. Stroud, but that division's so bad. How much does he need to be able to add to that team to make them a quality contender? So I enjoyed seeing Nick Chubb get out of Cleveland where they are in purgatory. Do you know they have 5 quarterbacks on their roster?
I knew it was a ton. Was it you and me that were listing them off on Friday, or was I doing that with a buddy? We were like, they have so-and-so. They have so-and-so. They have so-and-so. It's crazy.
Because, can you name them all?
No, I didn't know that Flacco.
Flacco's back, yeah.
Flacco, Sanders.
Flacco, Shadur Sanders.
They got like 2 more young guys.
One more, yeah.
It's okay, maybe the one. Who is it? Who am I thinking?
Dylan Gabriel from Oregon.
Gabriel, yeah, that's who I was
And then they
thinking of.
traded for a quarterback who I think is garbage.
Who's that?
Kenny Pickett.
I did not remember that.
And then Deshaun Watson is their 5th. So, yeah, it's all crowded up there.
They can't get rid of Watson, right? They want to, but they can't.
He's out for the year, basically, though, so they're not really – he's just dead weight at this point. But then they'll probably be able to move on from him after the season.
Gotcha.
So
who do you think the Super Bowl favorite is?
Eagles.
It is.
Yep. And then Chiefs. And then Bills.
You've gotten 3 out of the 4. Throw the Ravens in.
Okay.
Eagles plus 650. Bills plus 700. Ravens 700. Chiefs 750. So you're all over it.
Did
all 3 pretty close, and then a little drop off before the Lions, who are number 5 at plus 1,000. So Vegas feels pretty good about it being the Eagles, the Bills, the Ravens, or the Chiefs. So pretty much somebody from the AFC probably. One of those 3 teams.
I forgot about
Eagles ain't repeating
this until I saw an interview with Wan'Dale Robinson. You know Russell Wilson's a New York Football Giant?
I did know that one.
Yeah, that's one of those it's like it happened and then you forget about it and then you think Russell Wilson, New York Giant. How's that going to work?
We're going to be talking a lot of NFL and fantasy to get you ready. Do you think the Browns are the ugliest fantasy team out there, like in terms of the least draftable?
Oh yeah.
Or is it could it be the Saints?
Saints, at least Kellen Moore. Yeah, I don't know. That's
got Jerry Jeudy with the Browns. Joku's always a fun tight end staple.
Yeah.
But
who are the Saints athletes anymore? Who are their skill players besides Olave?
It's a good question. They still have Alvin Kamara.
Who is, 43?
45. When was he born?
He played for Butch Jones of Tennessee. I mean, that was, 15 years ago?
That's pretty wild. Tyler Shuck. All my UL friends have Tyler Shuck, Rookie of the Year.
I end up hopping on one of those, too.
It's not a bad bet. It really isn't. Yeah. It's such an offensive award. It's not the worst bet in the world. But the Saints are just going to be so bad. That's the issue, is that, he really, and he's old, so he probably doesn't really care. He's just happy to have a shot, a starter as a rookie. That's insane. But he's 26. He's going to get, all right, let's see what you got. You're not going to get you're not going to get the excuse of, well, the franchise was terrible when I was there. Well, by the time it's good, you're going to be 31 years old, dude. So, either make it good or they're just going to go with somebody younger.
There also is, so Jameis is also a New York Football Giant, but they drafted Jackson Dart. So it's like, are you going to be Jameis or are you going to be Russ before dark? So I saw Cam Jordan today.
All right, they are doing a Savannah Banana situation up there. They're just going to make it fun.
Well, Cam Jordan was saying Saints trade to bring Jameis back.
They got Tommy DeVito.
Exactly.
With the Giants as well.
You don't need Jameis too long. I mean, my gosh, what a reality show that.
Seriously. Do you remember when Lamar Jackson's freshman year at U of L and everybody was wondering, is Lamar or Reggie Bonifant or who's going to be the starting quarterback?
And they did the trick play against Auburn.
They did the trick play.
Where all three quarterbacks win for the first play.
I need that to be the Giants' entire offense. Just have all four of them in there every possession. You don't know who's going to spread them out like the old flag football formations. What was it, like Tridel at UK would do that where they'd have the two quarterbacks?
Yeah.
It was actually pretty.
Tridel.
Yeah, it was okay.
Tridel sorority. But yeah.
Good call. That was smart. It was a good strategy.
Yeah. Well, Jared, he played in like a very competitive adult flag football league, and that was the strategy was two quarterbacks.
You know somebody else who played in a really competitive adult flag football league?
No, you're no Jared Lorenzen, though.
I've got another strategy question.
I need to bring this up really quickly. Of all of the douchebag, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, coaching moves to do. Bobby Petrino refusing to name a starter and then playing all three on the first snap. All-time douchebag coach move. Like, oh, you can't see anything because strategy. Dude, just play your guy. Like, you're what a loser. God, that guy sucks.
I would say there's a lot bigger all-time douche moves, but, yeah, that was a funny play.
It resulted in an interception. I think Lamar threw it, right? Who was the third guy? It was Reggie Bonifant, Lamar Jackson. Was Kyle Bolin the third?
Was it Kyle Bolin? I think it was. Yeah. God. Yep. It all worked out well for Lamar, though. So we're talking football, and that's fun, and we'll talk fantasy as the summer goes on. We've got a date set for one of my leagues, Roush. Another league trying to get it figured out, and this one is usually most people will get together for it, but a few people are out of town or we'll have to do it online. So it's not as big as a to-do of a draft just to lay the basis for it. But based on the schedule, we are kicking around the idea of doing a opening day draft, having it at like 5 o'clock on Thursday, the day of Thursday Night Football, and then drafting our teams leading into the kickoff of the football season. Your thoughts?
And this is where people will do it remotely?
There will probably be like 3 people that will be on the computer. Ideally, like 9 of us will get together in person, have some wings, beers.
So, and this is not your traditional league where you all travel?
This isn't my big money league.
Okay. Because I actually really like this idea if you're not getting drunk and taking too long. That's what Yeah, this draft usually only takes about 2 hours. Online drafts are so much faster than in-person drafts just for that exact reasons. The shenanigans. Keep
I gotta go to the bathroom. Let me look at your sheet. Blah, 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 blah. You're up. It's been 5 minutes.
The time that we've done it in person, we just pull all the laptops out because the timer makes it forces you to keep moving.
I low-key kind of am getting excited about, like, you don't want to plan it and then have 4 or 5 people be like, can't do it, and then be like, oh, well, we're in trouble. But so far, the people that have reacted to it are like, yeah, I think that would be cool. I think it would be fun. Meet up at somebody's house, leave work maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes early, meet up at somebody's house, have a couple drinks,
into the action.
And then, you draft your team, and then, all right, what bar are we going to watch the game? Or maybe you draft at the bar, potentially, if they've got good internet situation. And, of course, we're like 3 months out from this, but it's hard not to get a little bit excited. And that's what summer does to you. Makes you wish you're 3 months into the future. That's the beauty of summer. All right, the beauty of this radio show is we've got one more segment. We don't want you to go anywhere.
Don't do it. You better not.
We've got a lot more to get to on today's show. It was a big UK football recruiting weekend, so we'll play some fart sounds when we return and get you an update there. We've got some news with a local legend around these parts.
And
some legal
some
trouble.
big basketball recruiting news.
And some, actually, colossal UK basketball recruiting news. So we'll get to all of it. Roush is right. This is Kentucky Roll Call.
There you go.
Calling all young golfers. The PGA Junior League
back in. One final segment of Kentucky Roll Call. The sun isn't shining, but it doesn't matter. You need your Shady Rays. Just in case it does peek through. They got the best styles, the best fashions, polarized lenses at a great affordable price, a local company that gives back. It's Shady Rays. Visit them at shadyrays.com. You can also find them in the brick and mortar stores. They got the Summit at Fritz Farm. There's also one of the outlet shops at the outlets at the Bluegrass Outlets. And at Oxmoor Centers, it's Shady Rays, proud sponsors of the Big X Sports Radio. If you want to get in on the action here at the Big X Sports Radio, D. Ryan at bigxsportsradio.com. TJ, I'm not sure which story you want to get to first, second.
Do you like that song coming back?
Taylor Swift?
No, Sabrina Carpenter.
Oh, is that the new one?
Maneater. Highly recommend checking out that music video.
Yeah, I've seen some clips.
A lot of people are going to hear me say that.
I was not aware of her game.
Just because she's hot in the video. Is she hot in the video? Yeah, she looks good in the video, Roush. It reminds me of the Oscar from The Office when he sees Threat Level Midnight and he sees the scene where Michael's talking to himself. Or no, is that with D'Angelo Vickers? Whatever scene it is, where Oscar's like, I want to evaluate that scene, but I know there's nothing there. Because he thinks it's like maybe something more in depth.
Oh, yeah.
The music video is incredible just from a, like, what am I watching? What is that supposed to mean? What's the interpretation of that? When in reality, it's probably just nothing, and it's just this hot girl doing these fun things in a video. But it's an incredible video. It's like an old school music video back that you'd see in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Just recommend it. Maybe don't do it at the office.
I'm a big fan of, like, she's very funny. She does SNL quite often. She's good. Yeah. So I'm a big fan. I don't want to say big fan. More of a Dua Lipa guy.
I didn't realize
the jams.
Sabrina Carpenter and Olivia Rodriguez had bad beef.
Oh.
I guess they, like, got with the same guy.
Ooh.
Rodrigo.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't keep up.
Dua Lipa, Sabrina Carpenter, Olivia Rodrigo. Those are the big three.
Are we gonna put who was in Wicked? Ariana Grande. She's good at acting too.
Is she good at acting?
Yeah.
I don't know if
she does a lot of impressions, and they're very good.
Well, maybe I need to check her out.
Yeah,
more.
check out some of her impressions.
Okay.
I did get excited to check out and see that Tyrone Stokes was taking an official visit to Kentucky over the weekend. That was this is fun. The #1 player in the country, originally from Louisville. He currently attends high school out of California. But I watched just briefly some of his tape, TJ, because this guy reminds me of he looks kind of old school in that he's 6'7" and he can just physically dominate. But he's pretty tactful too, and that's why he's the top-ranked player in the country. He's visiting. I don't know exactly when it started. I don't know if Joe Tipton reported that, but he was on campus yesterday. The best part of the news, though, TJ, is they're doing the Team USA training camp for the under-19 team starting Saturday, I want to say, next weekend. So,
was that the one that Pope's coaching in?
Exactly. So Pope is getting time with Tyrone Stokes now on his visit. Jasper Johnson, Malachi Moreno are there, and then they're all going to Colorado Springs together for that training camp. So a nice little 1-2 punch to try to dig some deep roots in the foundation here with Stokes, who previously visited Louisville in the fall and then was at Kansas in early May.
I love his game. He's incredible. I need to ask some of my recruiting guys still in the game, like why he doesn't get the same buzz that the last few #1s have gotten in recruiting classes. Like AJ Dispenza, everybody knew him, talked about him. Maybe it's just Stokes isn't, like the Boozer twins, everybody talked about them. I know they were in the same class, but I don't like why Stokes is incredible. His tape is phenomenal. Are people a little worried about him maybe being a bit undersized for what he could be? Could he be a bit of a tweener for some folks from what I've seen? Because he can bully people right now, but he's only about 6'7", so that's a little undersized. But I don't see any reason why, losing some weight, he can't kind of be a swing wing that can do it all. However, I think he is incredible. He's really good. I haven't allowed myself to get too excited with him in regards to UK. And admittedly, the most recent news of him officially visiting UK, what Roush just told you, that him
you're all back.
Like, no, admittedly, like that's hard to ignore. I'm still not going to dive in head first because in this day and age, a recruitment like Stokes just doesn't scream like Pope in UK. That's not to say that Pope can't do it, and that's not a diss at Pope. It's almost, admittedly, right now, I like Pope's strategy. I don't know how you wouldn't. Now, if this season doesn't go well, I reserve the right to change my opinion on it. And I guess you could play a devil's advocate and say, instead of worrying about getting 10 people or 14 people in this instance, try to just get 4 or 5 elite and then fill out the rest of the roster the way that you need to. That would be a different approach. I'm not even saying I agree with that. I don't. I'd like what Pope's doing right now. But when you get BYU landing the top recruit, and that's not to say that BYU is going to land Stokes necessarily. I don't know. I don't think they're even recruiting him. The point is, I think another big fish may just spill their entire load on Stokes recruitment, and I don't see UK and Mark Pope doing that. I think Mark Pope is willing to spend a lot of money on an individual player. I don't think he's willing to spend his entire recruiting budget on an individual player. And you could have an Alabama, you could have a lot of other schools that would say, take all our money. And it seems like some people think it's a UK, Kansas, Louisville three-way race.
Well, my question, who's the shoe company writing the check? Especially if it's among those three. So if it's Nike, we know Kentucky's got a leg up.
And that's the shoe company thing is another great point.
Tate Kenny signed with Adidas, I think, and he's the Northern Kentucky kid that Louisville and Kentucky are both battling over. I wouldn't mind a split there. This gets me to my question, TJ.
Stokes is really, really good. He's really, really expensive. Too long didn't read my rant right there. He's really, really good. Really, really expensive.
Well, I would also think that Jane Quaintance, that would be my retort. It's like, oh, well, that's one top 5 pick.
Yeah, but you got him on discounted goods.
Right. But, I need to change the game. My question for you, though, TJ, that goes back to the house settlement stuff. And this could maybe be a bigger picture topic, but does recruiting matter more or less with this now? Now that everybody is, I don't want to say on the same playing field, and then do you believe that it will actually get people on the same playing field? Or will it just go back to shoe companies funneling money, having the right people fudging the books to make sure that it gets through NIL Go?
I think this is the only thing I take away from the settlement is there's going to be a lot of athletic departments that are going to be real stressed, and all of them to a certain degree, but some are going to be able to handle it much easier than others. But it's going to be interesting, Roush, because you're going to have a lot of athletic departments that are going to say, all right, Nils, we need your money. Like, you can't give it to the players. Now we need it, and then we'll give it to the players because we need that $20 million. So, sorry, you need to do that. And then there's going to be other athletic departments that are going to say, the $20 million it's $20 million, but we can do it. Nil, you all keep operating as you see fit. We still need to attract the best of the best. Then you get the shoe company angle of it all as well. I don't think this is really changing much, except the teams that are struggling to get by, they just got more bills on their table. The haves are going to be all right. The haves-nots, this is just another obstacle to hurdle, and Kentucky is closer to the haves than the have-nots. So that's the way that I see it.
I think that's fair. We're like, it's not going to change too much, but I do wonder though from a so Kentucky, we both agreed they didn't have a $20 million roster. Let's say they had a 15, but for basic math, let's say it's a $10 million roster. They're not getting 50% of the rev share. So how do you get a $10 million roster when it's not just NIL collective? It has to go through NIL Go. Like how do you?
So my understanding is, again, UK so programs with their $20.5 million that they've got to pay out. First off, they have to decide how they're splitting that pie among different sports.
Correct.
And then how they split that pie among each sport. I was under the understanding it has to be split equally among the players. That they can't say, hey, we're giving 75% to football, and among that 75% for football, one player is getting 90% of that money.
I
was under the idea that they could not do that. Am I wrong?
I don't. Why would you? I would not think that you could restrict what you pay players.
I thought that it had to be equal payment among the players. That's why nil was still going to be such a huge factor in this. Is because, like, this is great for all the... I could be wrong. This is confusing for a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case,
Okay.
TJ. That doesn't sound like that would pass muster. But even if it did, like, they're going to... I just wonder, like, is for Kentucky to get that to that $15 million spot, right? Like,
Sure.
How much of it do they have to work with Morgan and Morgan to get to Jasper Johnson? You know, like, how much do they actually have to... Like, where's Ortega Oweh's money coming from, right?
So that's what I'm saying, though, is that, like, I would think a program like UK would say, hey, nil operations that have to sign up with UK to begin with to be legal. You all keep operating, and you all keep getting these money to these guys so we're competitive and we're winning.
But that's the part that I don't.
We're worried about the $20 million that we have to distribute. You all keep being lucrative as an appeal to bring people in.
And that's where it gets fishy to me, is I don't know how much of what they're operating under right now, what these collectives are doing, will pass muster in the new era, right? Like Tennessee is
fun times, folks.
Yeah, like how much of what Tennessee has done to pay their players is still going to be considered good, you know?
The reason that I thought that there had to be some sort of equity in the split was because if you gave your entire, hey, we're only spending 25% of our $20 million on basketball and we're giving all that to just 2 players, then the other 13 players, because they're moving the roster limits up to 15, the other 13 players would be like, well, then how does this impact me at all?
They're all guaranteed to get paid, TJ, but I don't think they have to get all paid.
So there's a minimum.
Dollar amount.
Maybe that's what I read, is that there's the minimum on, they're all getting this amount.
Because, like, in no world would a long snapper make what a quarterback makes. Like, that
but I just couldn't see a scenario where, like, they'd say, yeah, sorry, you don't get anything, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, they're all going to get something. It's kind of like when they would get their...
Fun times.
Their work check.
We'll get a guest on maybe to clear all this up for us.
Yeah.
We got texters.
It's so confusing.
It's exciting, though.
And you want to know, like, what the long-term implications are. But speaking with somebody yesterday at that UK football camp, which no recruiting news this weekend. They offered somebody from Sweden, though, so that's cool.
They keep losing people to Rutgers.
Yep, they keep doing that as well.
That's embarrassing.
But talking, like, I was asking with somebody about the NIL stuff, like, they feel as ready as they can be, but it's going to take at least a year to sort of, let's get the lay of the land. Like, we got to go through this one time everybody's going to make their mistakes before everything sort of equalizes.
It'll probably be even more than just a year where
it took 2 or 3 with NIL, with NIL. I think they might be a little bit more revved up and be a little bit more forward-thinking this go-around because they've at least done something similar to this point. But there's certainly going to be a feeling-out process here.
And it's extra interesting because we don't know what Mitch Barnhart's going to do. He's an old-school dude. This is new, forward-thinking. Mitch has one way that he's done things. But while I am tough on Mitch Barnhart, I got to trust him to get this right. Maybe not right away, maybe not day one, but I don't think he's going to set up Kentucky to be in a spot to completely and totally fail. Now, they probably won't be on the advanced cutting edge and the most aggressive, progressive athletic department and bending the rules or trying to figure things out. But I also don't think UK is going to be left with their pants down. And that's a nice thing I can say about Mitch Barnhart. A texter on the text line says, does anyone know the whereabouts of Andrei Yelovich? Is he en route to Lexington, or is his flight bogged down somewhere in Eastern Europe? I think he was just playing like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, not that long ago. But I have no idea. I've seen some UK media members be more bullish on what he will provide to the team. I think he will be a bench player. Obviously, he'll get some opportunities here or there, but I'm not expecting much from him.
Yeah, and I believe there was initially, like, I think he was supposed to be getting here like today or tomorrow.
Okay.
He was arriving later, but I'm not fretting over him. And part of it, the reason TJ is he's my I wouldn't say my gravy player because I love gravy. So maybe the cherry on top. I'm expecting very little, and so whatever you get from him is just a nice little bonus.
Texter on the text line 502-414-1450 says, Roush, just checking if you're pumped up for our PRP Panthers making a run at another baseball title, but seriously sad to hear longtime principal Charlie Miller pass. He was just a good guy, even a state rep.
Oh, man. Yeah, I didn't realize that. There's also sad news in Northern Kentucky. Dave Trosper passed away. That was awful. Connor head coach since 2007. So thoughts and prayers to all those out there. But I did actually have somebody when I was in the distillery district. They had been, I believe it was Chet White, who said, yeah, did you see that PRP has South End on their jerseys? And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool. And I kind of hate that they thought of it before we did because that's pretty cool.
So who's left in state baseball? I know
PRP and Trinity are both still alive. They had a lot of rain delays, but they were able to get the rest of the games in. So down to the semifinals. And
all right, it's Trinity versus Boyd, and that is on the 13th.
Boyd County. Shout out to Boyd County making it this far.
McCracken versus PRP. McCracken, I think they're normally pretty good at baseball. Am I thinking of a different sport?
No, I think you're correct.
All right, so McCracken, PRP, Trinity, Boyd for all the baseball marbles. And that championship's the following day, the 14th. So they get to rest this week and get back at it. Trinity beat Taylor County and Meade County. PRP beat Spencer County and Corbin in 2 games that weren't particularly close. So good luck to the Louisville teams. Another texter says, TJ is just mad. He said journalism was the next great horse and sovereignty busted his ass. That's not true. Didn't say it was the next great horse. I said that journalism wasn't Triple Crown caliber, but had a chance to win the Triple Crown, and he did. Had a chance to win the Derby, muddy track, terrible rod, came up just short, won the Preakness, because again, not against the best field. So I never said it was the next great horse.
I mean, there's also just the way he looked early on in his career, the way he won that Preakness. He's a very inspiring horse.
Journalism is a good horse.
Yeah, very good.
And hopefully we get to see it run for a very long time. It was fun getting to see Burnham Square up in person, Roush, and see those horses, some of those Derby horses.
Final Gambit is so pretty. I was just like, we need a bigger field there.
Yeah, I was also bummed about the field, but it was still cool seeing those horses. You never get sick of seeing horses run. A texter says, John here. Hey, KRC crew. I told Justin about the new wrestling league that Hawk Hogan and Eric Bischoff will be starting in August. It's called Real American Freestyle Wrestling. If you need some inspiration to watch this league, go check out when Kurt Angle won the Olympic gold medal with a broken neck. Or check out the upset between Wyatt Hendrickson and Olympic gold medalist Cable Stevenson. Tell me, will you give it a shot? Well, got to go talk to you later. I'm not going to go watch those videos, so you need to tell me what is going to be different about Real American Freestyle Wrestling.
Because it's like college wrestling.
So it's not predetermined.
It's Greco-Roman, yeah.
Instantly better than WWE. You're automatically off the jump. It's not predetermined. You're automatically better.
My cousins are all into wrestling, and I feel like I'm watching figure skating because I have no idea what's going on. The real one.
Okay.
I don't, like, I get when they have somebody pinned, but I can't.
The point system, and then they just raise their hand with a different wristband and stuff like that.
I'm so confused.
It is all confused. And then, like, you don't want, you can't hurt the person, but you're just pinning the person. I don't get it. What's the worst consequence you ever received at school?
The worst compliment?
I think it was consequence. Worst consequence.
We had a tradition of toilet, like TPing the school, and so that was but we did it in a spot we weren't supposed to this time, so they got very mad at us.
What's the spot you weren't supposed to?
There was supposed to be a tree in the back, and we just did the entire front lawn. Like, you could see it from all the way down Kenwood Drive.
Okay, so they were saying that you can do this TP prank here, but not there. Do they know what the deal of a TP prank is?
Exactly. Like, we just went above and beyond. Yeah, they were very mad. We all had to go to Saturday school, and then the teacher in charge of Saturday school just let us leave very quickly.
Oh, that's
cool. Yeah, so it was nice.
Well, I was, as everybody pretty much knows, I was never jugged at St. X. no big deal. But in 8th grade, I got written up and had to miss a field trip, which was pretty annoying. All for the crime of throwing a dodgeball in a game of dodgeball at a schoolmate and not even hitting him. There's like a big, weird move in like 2004 that dodgeball was the biggest form of bullying out there.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yep.
I mean, I get the idea of like hitting kids that don't want to be hit with balls is not good. But most of the time, you're in a game with balls, people want to get hit by the balls.
Yeah, I thought it was it was the start of all of the sort of culture war stuff. That was its precursor.
I think you're probably right about that.
Yeah, it was very early in the culture war clash.
All right, I think the stream on the live stream on YouTube was popping today. People talking about rain versus snow debate.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we had somebody else mention that the distillery district there in Lexington has a barcade too. I didn't know about the barcade. Sounds awesome. I got to do some exploring, folks.
Everybody have a great Monday. We'll be back at it again tomorrow.
My kids they're playing in the rain right now, loving this weather.
I bet they wish it was snow.
Hating the snow.
I remember, do you want to build a snowman? I don't know if there's a rain equivalent.
I'll build a tsunami.
Rain, go away.
Moana.
Everybody have a great Monday.
She can have all the money. They can keep all the fame. I go back to being broke as a joke if I could just get a break.
The Big X, AM 1450 and 96.1 FM, WXVW Jeffersonville. W230CK Jeffersonville.
This world that we're living in may seem chaotic at times. It's good to have a team like ours that has never strayed away from its core values: God, family, and service.